Ladies and gentlemen, we're with the king of content, DJ Shirley. DJ, what's up, buddy?
Man, I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm loving life. I'm loving life, man. I like that we're having a king of content. That's a good moniker, by the way. I love that. Nice work.
You know, that was given to me. It was bestowed on me, and I'll take it for as long as they want to keep saying it.
Nice. All right, so we're going to take whatever 25-ish minutes. We're going to chat. We're going to add some value to some small business owners. As you know, we've talked about, most of the people who are going to be listening and watching are, they're solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. It's going to go to roughly 12,000 people. Who knows? Hopefully we're not going to put them to sleep. But anyway, let's add some value. Obviously, you're the marketing man, but go ahead and give us a little tidbit about who you are and why you're hanging out with us here today.
Yeah, so my name's, like you mentioned, DJ Shirley. I'm the owner of Speak Loud Group. We're a digital marketing and advertising agency, and our kind of slogan, as I have on most of my merch or my I don't sell merch, but on my t-shirts, says "We make other people famous," and that's kind of it's our goal of our agency. As we work with mostly small, medium-sized businesses and some larger accounts nationally, internationally. But our goal is to make them famous. If they're trying to extend brand reach, generate leads, get more traffic, all that fun stuff. We do that through mostly paid media, some organic, but a lot of video work, animations, whiteboards, things like that. Just trying to get people's names out there, the brands out there, generate leads, and ultimately generate sales. And it's I tell most people when I try to simplify it, it's we just play on the internet all day. That's what we do.
That is probably true. Huh? That's good. Yeah,
there's a little bit of it. There's a little bit of it.
I get you. All right, so I'm going to grill you with some questions, and let's just have a conversation. Kind of go with the flow. Once again, this is Ken French with the Vast Voice. We are telling business secrets of entrepreneurs, or I should say to entrepreneurs. So I'm going to throw some questions at you. Why go to you versus, AI? AI is doing everything nowadays. I'll just throw that out.
It's a good question. And here's what I'll say is, and we have this conversation, I'm actually doing a training on it here soon for a Chamber of Commerce organization. And AI is fantastic. It really is. And we use AI in our business and we train on AI. But it comes with a big caveat is that there's still, in my opinion, it's not going to replace jobs. I think someone that knows AI is going to replace somebody's job. Yeah. That's my take on it, is that AI is good for what it's good for, and it's only going to get better. That it is the future, 100%. I think business owners should know it or have someone in their corner that understands it, knows it. But there's still a human element to it. You can go to ChatGPT right now and tell it to write you the best blog post you ever did, and you better read that sucker before you go put it on the internet.
Totally.
Yeah. So there's just language barriers. Obviously, it's not great at generating graphics and things like that. There's definitely still a human element to it. So I think 100%. If someone was asking me my advice, you need to understand AI. You need to know how it works. Or you need to go pay somebody that does, and have them help you with it, because it can absolutely generate some amazing content. But you've got to have that moderator or kind of filter on the back end for it.
I totally agree. And we've been doing AI for years, by the way. And even we would say, hey, it might be a good foundation. Use AI just kind of as a foundation, but you still need professional help. Or you get professional help and then have AI on top of it. Either way, you have to have personal help, especially as we see it in marketing, because marketing, AI can only do so much as far as marketing goes.
I like to say, I threw this phrase at it and I heard it from someone else, so I didn't coin it, but it was, it's great for idea generation.
Yeah.
Is that if you want to bounce some stuff off of something outside of yourself, someone else's brain, maybe it's artificial or not, but you bounce it off there and ask it its opinion, have it go crawl your website, have it look at some different concepts, and they can absolutely do some great and get those wheels turning, especially creatively.
Yep. Now, what's been really big we suck at social media. I'll be pretty blunt. Sorry out there if you're listening, we do suck, and you probably all know that. But what I would say is we're really good. The one thing we're really good at as far as marketing, if you will, or maybe even /sales, email marketing, meaning blast email marketing. So, because we think, hey, if we can market to our own existing clients, hopefully they'll say, hey, you're doing a good job, and tell other people. So, what are some key elements to email marketing that you think kind of works for you and or your clients?
Top of the line would be a level of consistency, and I think that you could relate that to a lot of things. You relate that to social media, you relate it to a lot, but I think there's a level of consistency to it. But I also think there's purpose. Is I see some companies that I get, and I will unsubscribe in a heartbeat if I have some value from someone that I chose to opt in their email list, and there was a great value email, and it's a reason I subscribed. But then you start sending me, I'm getting 2 or 3 emails a week from you, and there's no value in it for me. It's all watered down. It's just something to send, or you're trying to sell me something every time I get an email from you. I'm going to unsubscribe. So I'd say there has to be some intentionality behind it. You have to have a strategy. But our top line things, when you're sending an email, and you can prove this in data, is if you have not thought through what your customer, your prospect believes when they see that subject line, not what the content of the email is, but what that thing says when it pops up in their inbox. That is probably the number one key. I think the consistency and things all come to play after that. But if you're not telling them something that's worth opening that email, they're going to scroll right past it. And I can give you a great example and then we can move on.
All right.
But I have a popcorn manufacturer that I work with that the primary function of their business is fundraising. They help schools raise money, organizations raise money. And we send out fundraising kits, has some samples in it, has fundraising information inside of it. Previously, they would send out emails to the trade shows they had been to, and they would say, hey, thanks for stopping by. Here's some, more information. Click our button. And they had awful open rates, just like probably most folks out there with their emails. We started making some tweaks, and there's a cheat sheet on the back end. This is why I guess I'm the king of content, all right? But we just made one tweak to their email, and the subject line was your popcorn sample delivery ? And that's all we did. Yeah. And people saw that and they thought they had missed a delivery or wanted to know where their popcorn samples were. And we had never even sent these folks popcorn samples. We were wanting them to open the email, and then sure enough, they opened it. Open rate was like 78% on that email.
Are you serious?
To several thousand school administrators across the state of Texas. It was fantastic. And now we've tailored that, more and more through their emails. We want something catchy, something engaging that people will go give them a reason. Like if you sat back in your chair, would you open my email if it said, something super generic, training, anything like that? But if it was an action required or a question, or it made someone go, wait a minute, did I miss something? Give them something intriguing to make them open the email. So I'd say subject lines are probably super, super key when it comes to email marketing.
Totally. Yeah. I think what I would say from what I've learned, and by the way, we're new in the email marketing, but it's totally worked out for us, but it's obvious we're pretty good at it because our open rates are, not 70%, but 53%.
That's still fantastic.
That's unbelievable. I know. But then again, we have kind of a captive audience too, but because they need our stuff tax time, because we do, tax, finance, and artificial intelligence for entrepreneurs. But anyway, that's beside the fact. So I like what you're saying. So give some other examples of good subject lines, because that's really what it's about, man. It's like a thumbnail. People see that, they're so much more apt to open it. So what are some other good examples of that can help some of our listeners and viewers as far as open rates, as far as their subject lines?
Sure. I would say, depending on obviously what your business is, that gives me the biggest, advantage of knowing what a business is and ultimately what they're trying to convey. But, something where I'll give you an example for us, we are always on the look for whatever the cutting edge is for the agencies that are out there. If it's training, our entire team we're constant learners. Like we will dive into, I'll pay for trainings all day long for our team to go to. We may take one nugget from it. But if I see something in a subject line that's a piece of a case study, how we took this client from 0 leads to 500 leads in 30 days for $2,000. I'm like, it seems interesting. Mm-hmm. That's what I try to think through, is like whoever my audience is that I'm delivering it to, what problem can I solve? I have, 30 characters that are going to fit onto their email. What can I say to them that is going to spark some type of reaction? Just like in sales, when we talk about like an action threshold, when we're like, if you can move their emotional and move the cost out of the way to where you outweigh cost with value, then they're willing to buy. It's kind of the same thing with email. If you pique their interest enough, they want to know at least what's inside. Maybe you don't get them to click a button, but that's half the battle, is getting them to open that email. So subject lines, I would say, something super intriguing, a case study, and again, depends on the business, right? It depends on who you're targeting. If it's fundraising, how we helped a school raise, $500,000 in 6 months. That's going to make me probably want to open the email if I'm struggling with school finances and I'm a school administrator. If it's a tire store and a tire store is running a huge promo and they're emailing their entire list that's ever bought from them historically, how you could save X number of dollars on your tires, or how we're running a special promo, limited time only, like something that invokes some type of action. And obviously that subject line on the tire store gets very salesy, and I usually try to skirt away from being super salesy in that subject line. But if it's a call to action and it's something that is truly limited and you have a captive audience, then why would they not want to open? If I'm thinking about buying tires and I can save $500, then I'm at least interested in what you have to say. It's really intentional. It is geared every time towards what your ultimate goal is. What are you ultimately trying to do? If you're just trying to send them a spring newsletter, tell them it's a damn spring newsletter. Just put it right there in the title, so that way they know. Maybe they choose to open it, maybe they don't. But if you're ultimately trying to invoke an action, you don't want to tick them off by giving them a clickbait in the subject, and then they open it and go, wait a minute, this has nothing to do with my popcorn delivery.
Totally. I hear it. Yeah. And then they unsubscribe. We actually like it. This is going to sound weird. We like it when people unsubscribe, because that means we're not helping them. So the other put our other resources towards the people who subscribe, if that makes sense.
Agree completely.
And we're also really into the A/B testing. So we'll do, I don't even know how many, let's say it's 7 different, subject lines, and then even 7 different emails, short emails. and kind of matter of factly speaking, and then we'll know which kind of what works. We'll do it with a small little sample, and then we'll extend it to kind of the rest of the database.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense. I mean, that's it, you could relate that to anything that we do too. I mean, that's typically when we're launching a brand. Now, if we know something, we have something proven. If we have a proven ad system that works, then we roll that out. But for a brand new client or a new industry or new vertical, then we a lot of times we go in there. We're testing video versus graphic versus short text, long text versus landing page versus Facebook Messenger. Like we're testing literally probably 18, 20 different variables in those first like 3 to 4 weeks with a micro piece of their ad spend budget, because we have to figure out what works, and every audience responds a little bit differently. Every area of the country responds a little bit differently, males and females. Like you just have to figure out, again, micro budget, like you said, with your audience, you're delivering to a small test of them. You're determining which one of these 7 factors checks the boxes, and then you pivot. You go, okay, the rest of the 12,000 people we're going to send this to, they're getting this version because we had an 80% open rate on it. Yeah, that's pivot, absolutely. And that's a big piece of, if I had to give any advice to marketing and advertising, it's you got to test, and don't be afraid of an agency like me. Some people, I hate using that word. They hear test and it sounds like just spend money. That's what they hear. And it's not reality. It's that we're going to spend a little bit of your money testing for sure, but then that means we're going to be more effective with your money down the road.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And then, it'll be more efficient going forward. It's worth the investment. I know marketing. By the way, I'm embarrassed to say, but I used to not ever want to market or sell, and it clearly didn't work. There's no doubt that marketing makes sense. Spending money on marketing. What do they say? 15%. What is the number? What percent should be spent on marketing? There's kind of a number.
There's actually like 4 different numbers, and it does change from year to year. I mean, they'll always update something, but there's 3 factors to it. Like if you're wanting to maintain growth, then typically that's the lower percentage. Like if you just want to stay where you're at this year, next year, I want to say that number is around 8 to 10%. And then if you're wanting to grow by a certain percentage, that number jumps a little bit, 10 to 15%. But if you're wanting to scale, which is obviously massive, you're talking 50, 60, 80, 100% growth, then it's a much larger percentage. And some businesses struggle with that. They see that money, and that's normally money in their pocket at the end of the year. And they go, man, wait, that's my boat cruise. That's my, whatever they were planning on doing. That's a new car. But the reality is that they're going to get to next year and go, man, we did the same revenue we did last year. So, and we wanted to grow by 40%. The reality is at some point, organic's great, and we all love organic. We love referrals, we love word of mouth, but there is a certain cap to that, or a certain growth pace to that, and that's where marketing and advertising is that gasoline to a fire type situation.
Yeah, totally. I hear you. So, as I mentioned, it's embarrassing how bad we are with social media. Or social media. Hey, we're trying to get better for the people out there. But
there you go.
What are kind of some? And I know you're going to say it depends, but what are your kind of go-to social medias, just in general? Let's say for a real estate agent who is trying to expand their business and who has not used social media, what's kind of a go-to generically? And again, this is going to be an open-ended question.
Yeah, for sure. So I'd say, I mean, specifically platforms. I mean, you've got places that are ultra organic, like TikTok, which who knows what's actually going to wind up happening with TikTok, right? So we can stay off that topic. We don't know if it's going away or staying. But Facebook and Instagram are one of those that to me, it's a localized community. You can check in places, you can hashtag certain locations, things like that. So let's use a real estate agent, and actually just had this conversation recently, did a consultation for one, is we actually suggested for them, they were asking us about building out a business page versus, using their personal. And we started raising those questions. And I think it differs for a lot of different businesses. Real estate in particular I actually encourage this individual to build out their personal brand. I said, because you are the agent, now if you have certain requirements, if you're with a brokerage and they require you to have a business page, things like that, there's not much you can do. Go build out that business page, do exactly what they're asking you to do. But for most realtors, it's their personal brand. The person that's deciding to do business with them, they're doing it because they know them, like them, trust them, got referred to them. It wasn't because they saw a Facebook page and went, oh, a local realtor. Well, shockingly, there's 10,000 of them, so you've got to do something to separate yourself. So we encouraged her to build out her personal brand, to start posting her short form videos there of her walking through a demo, walking through, explaining some of the real estate things, explaining, hey, rates may be a little higher right now, but that doesn't mean anything. This is, let's walk you through what that actually means. There's more options available for you. That's what we encourage her to do. So when it comes to platforms, I mean, Facebook and Instagram are typically where I have everyone start. It's the easiest. You can cross post on them. But also this is not going to be taken very well by a lot of folks out there, but I'm a huge video fan. Is that I think once you can, it's one thing to post a picture of an open house or something like that, but it's another thing for you to hop on that thing and give them 15 to 30 seconds of them seeing your face, seeing your passion, hearing your voice. That's your brand. And so I highly encourage, and there's a little bit of fear in it in the beginning, especially if you hate being on camera, but once you get over that and you start doing it, it's shocking that you may actually start enjoy doing it.
Yeah, I know, totally. Yeah, I was that way. I did not want to do any social media. I was like, totally against it up until actually 19. So okay, so video. So where should one post videos, or are you saying someone should go live?
I'd say both. So specifically with videos, so I'm a huge fan of anything that is being promoted, if that makes sense. And currently, Facebook and Instagram, they'll never admit it, but that's fine, is they are promoting short form video content, and specifically in the reel format, because TikTok it proved something. It was the fastest growing social media platform on the planet. And Facebook and Instagram said, pause, we have the user base, but they're catching up way quicker than we ever got to this number. So what are they doing that we're not? And they took a piece from them and they said, look, it's short form video content. It's in a vertical fashion, it has buttons over here. And lo and behold, several weeks later, we have that exact thing replicated on Facebook and Instagram. Because of that, they're pushing those types of content, is that they're going to promote it. You could go, and we've tested this, you could go make the same video and post it on your feed, on your actual feed, not a reel, post it on your feed, and it could be in the landscape format like we used to all shoot our videos. And that video is going to get 100 plays, maybe 200. If you have a really good following, you might get 1,000 plays. You could put that thing as a reel, and very organically, without having to do a whole lot of promoting or tagging people or anything like that, that video is going to get anywhere from 4 to 5 times probably as much interaction and exposure, just because the algorithm's pushing it. And that's what we're all fighting, us included. We all fight the algorithm and what Facebook wants to promote, and what Instagram wants to promote. But that's what I would encourage, is that I think you need content everywhere, and it can become a lot. But if you're focused on trying to gain that following and get some reputation, post 100% reels over on Facebook and Instagram. And you mentioned live video. I'm a fan of live video because to me it's somewhat unfiltered. Some people's page is very unfiltered, but it's very unfiltered, and it's live. It's in the moment. And that's another thing that all of the platforms promote. If you sat here and pulled out your phone right now and recorded a video and posted it immediately, it will be rewarded more than if you recorded that video and posted it a week from now. Facebook, Instagram, all of the platforms are promoting real life in the moment type content. They can read all of those metrics that video was shot a week ago. So they know that it was a production or staged, or planned out. Whereas especially if you go live, they know that that's raw, that's in the moment. So yeah.
It's like, yeah, because they're competing against TV, sometimes live TV.
Absolutely.
Yep, I totally get it. So, okay, so king of content. Tell me a little bit about what your deal is for content. I mean, are you talking social media? Are you talking about, not paper, but web, blogs? Where's the king of content come from, and what does that mean, really?
So the king of content was coined from, so we do a lot of, you call it higher end production work. So when we get hired by our clients, they're typically saying, hey, here's what we need to do and we're not doing. You do it. You come up with your plans and your ideas. In the beginning, it's usually a little bit of a collaboration. I need to understand your business and what you're wanting to sell or promote, or what that may be. But then it kind of goes into our ballpark. And I joke with folks that, sometimes our creative team's brainchild, it can be a scary place. And what I mean by that is we go to the extremes. And I mentioned a tire shop earlier. They're one of our first clients and been with us for several years. Is we knew that tires were not fun. Tires are not sexy. Nobody likes spending money on tires. It's a necessity. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to spin that. Is we didn't want every time they saw a promotion from that tire store to be like, hey, come buy our tires, because that's all you really can say or do. So we spun that, and we started coming up with extremely creative ways to promote the store and its employees without ever even really having to talk about tires. So we started shooting a series of videos, such highly demanded. We had to come back and do part 2, part 3 of them, as I put these guys in completely ridiculous roles. I had one of them act as a hibachi shelf. I had one of them act as a school teacher. I had one of them act as a stand-up comedian. And the entire premise was they would start to do those jobs, and the general manager would walk into the shot and go, we don't do that. And they progress through these different jobs of just very hilarious, failing at the jobs. The very end of the video is, but tires, that is what we do. Big or small, we can take care of you. Come on down, shop local, shop with us. And that was the very end of the video. And we've done some hilarious things. I mean, like just to pull those things out, is we've tried to come up with a unique way that we're going to sell your business and your product and your service without ever actually selling your business, product, or service. People don't like to be sold to.
Not at all. Totally.
They just want to be entertained, specifically on social media. And that's what we try to remember. No one goes to Facebook or Instagram to buy a house or tires or popcorn, for that matter. we're interrupting what they're there to do, which is typically unplug or mindlessly scroll. They're wanting to watch dog and cat videos and check up on the grandkids. They're wanting to do all those things. So if we're going to interrupt them, then we might as well produce content like what they're there to watch. And we're huge fans of humor. We try to interject humor when and where we can, because it's just it's needed, for one. But for two, it gets that reaction. People think it's funny. It's highly shareable, and it's gets a ton of interaction. So that's where the king of content thing comes from. We've done a lot of funny stuff. We had a financial planner where it was a Christmas video, but it was here in Texas. So as the shot pans out, they're in their suit tops, but then shorts, and there's snow coming inside their office. And as the shot pans out, it's actually the founder of the agency that's no longer even there. He's retired, but the entire town recognizes him, and he's throwing snow on them from a ladder. And it just stuff like that. We try to get outside of the box to promote funny stuff. And I don't know if you've seen this guy, and I can't take credit for it, but there's actually, you mentioned real estate a lot. There's a realtor guy, and look, you love him or hate him, but he basically does these videos where he's showing off a house. He's here locally in Texas, I think South Texas somewhere, but he's somewhat vulgar with his post. But he goes through, like when he shows the house, he was like, here's this house right here in Houston, Texas. It's $750,000. You probably can't afford it anyways, but let's take a look. Like, he's very sarcastic with his videos. He's gone viral. He has millions of followers now. And I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a shtick, right?
Yeah,
but he's built a brand. That's who he's become. And so there's lanes and avenues for education, humor, and you just become the guy or the gal of that space. And that's what you're known for. And that's what we try to do. Our customers don't have time to sit back and think of some harebrained idea of how to promote their product or service. That's our job. We go to the whiteboard, come up with something extremely creative to promote their product or service in a very unique way. That's where the king of content came from.
I think it's important for people to engage marketing people, as an example, or even tax people, or, preaching to the choir here, but because, let's say that someone's a real estate agent, they should be spending their time building their business as far as being a real estate agent versus not marketing, because their deal is probably building their business, again, being a real estate agent or being a tax person or being a dentist or whatever the case is. And if you guys are adding value, which it sounds like you do, hey, engage a marketing firm, and then who knows, maybe you're going to double or triple your business in a year. You just never know, because that's what you guys are specialists in,
Right. Then that's what we look at it. I mean, even in our own business, we have to look at that. And for me, I'm not a tax guy. I'm a numbers guy to a certain degree inside my own business, but I'm not a record keeper, bookkeeper person. That's one of the first things we went and spent money on, was because I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't want to have to worry if I mess something up. I'm not an expert in it, and I need to spend my time doing other things that are profitable. Yeah. And so that was one of the first things we did. And in the beginning, it wasn't something that we necessarily probably could have afforded, but we made a way because we knew it was important. And as we've scaled, their number scales too, because there's more they're doing for us. Yeah. But that's how we relate it same way, is that businesses should be focused on what they do best and what is ideally profit generating type activities, not over here. Did I schedule something for Facebook? Let's come up with a video idea. Like, they don't have time to be, and they'll never come up with it. And that's the reality. And you probably know this better than others talking about your social media. We all have good intentions, but at the end of the day, you have 90 other things that consume your calendar and your day that are business related, that you get to the end of the week and like, we haven't posted anything in 2.5 or 3 weeks. We need something out there. We don't even know how to launch a Facebook ad, let alone we threw $100 at it, but we have no idea what happened. That's what we're here for. Yeah. It's just, you find what you're good at, stick with that, and find somebody that's really good and that you trust to do the other stuff, and you'll be successful.
Plus, by the way, just like you mentioned, if you don't engage a marketing firm, you might forget to do a social media post. And I think that's the key. It sounds like, is consistency. If you're consistent every day or whatever, every week or whatever the case is, you'll be much better off.
Completely agree. I mean, that's especially if you're going to start investing the time. If you're going to start investing the time where you're going to make this plan, even if you're going to do it on your own. And I'm not against that. We do a done with you type of model as well. People will hire us, especially out of state. I mean, we'll have people who will hire us more. I mean, it's a consulting deal, but they'll hire us to come in and say, hey, help us devise a plan, and help us devise a realistic plan of where we need to post, how we need to post, what type of content, help us generate some ideas. And we roll out a kind of a program for them that we're able to assist them in the beginning, give them the blueprint, and then we do some check-ins with them to see kind of how they're doing. And part of it's accountability, is that we're able to come back and go, hey, you spent this money, like, you might as well stick with the program. And we try to make it realistic. In the beginning, we ease into it. Like, can we get you to post a couple of times a week? We need it to be more, but can we get you to post a couple of times a week? Great. And then we want to give them, we see that most of the businesses that we work with, they stop at the creativity spot. They don't know what to post, and they don't understand. And so we try to give them that little spark of energy. That way they feel confident in knowing at least the template of what to post and go after it. And then sure, so a lot of those folks come back and go, hey, this was great. Thanks for consulting with us, but we just want to hire you to do it. This is too complicated. We're like, that's fine too.
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get that. Wow, little king of content, DJ Shirley's adding some value here. So, and thank you, seriously, thank you very much for taking the time and adding value. So,
I appreciate it for me.
How does someone get a hold of you? Because I think it sounds like you're one of those brainiacs as far as marketing goes. How does someone get a hold of you?
So the easiest, you go through our website, which is speakloudmedia.com. Of course, you can call us to 214-205-0154. But the easiest, everything's listed on the website. There's a contact form. There's message us there. That's probably the easiest way. And you can see there's some examples there too that people can go dig through. I'm a nerd when it comes to this stuff. I really am. I'm extremely passionate about it, and I love bringing value to people. And I love having these conversations. I just like business in general. That's why we chose to work with whoever needs help and we can bring value. That's why we wanted to work with everybody, because I enjoy, honestly, the conversations. It's edifying to us too.
I love it. I love it. So, by the way, can you work with anyone international? I'm assuming yes, because you said yes, but that is the case.
Absolutely. There are obviously certain businesses. I used Financial Planner earlier as an example. There are certain businesses that have certain red tape or parameters that sometimes those have to be navigated and walked through when it comes to who you can work with. I know some businesses even have out of state or out of country structures where they can't have that type of access be given. But for the most part, we have only ran into that one time. And it was more of a, for lack of better terms, a defense type deal that they were looking at doing some marketing advertising. And it was a little politicized. And so that was something we couldn't get into. But other than that, unless you got some crazy red tape that you already know about, then yeah, there's not many lanes that we can't go down.
Awesome. Okay. So what's one thing in closing? What's one thing that you think can add value to the people who are listening or viewing that we have not already gone over as far as marketing goes?
Oh my goodness, that we have not gone over. We've covered so much in this short period of time. Man, that's a tough one. We covered consistency, but I mean, I don't feel like I could reiterate that enough. So I could do that again. But I mean, I think that consistency, and honestly, stop setting self-limiting beliefs. I see that a lot. That they don't want to be on camera. They don't think they have anything entertaining to say. They don't think their business is entertaining enough. You would be shocked. Just had this conversation with an insurance agent recently. I was like, people don't even understand what you do. They don't the stuff you take for granted. That's the tip. There we go. Yeah. The stuff that most business owners take for granted that they do every day. Giving a quote, filling out insurance paperwork, why deductibles are high or low, selling a house, why you value it at this, and bring a remodeler on, what can sell their home faster. I mean, there's so many different, all the things we take for granted is the content that other people would consume.
That's a huge message, because you're right. Because I take for granted that we can save someone whatever. I was just talking to a guy saving $600,000. Which, by the way, that's an outlier that we could do that. But sure. And I just gave him the idea, just kind of off the cuff, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, that's a great idea." And I just kind of took it for granted. You know what I mean? That's a really good point.
We just do it every day. I mean, and we're just, I mean, what's funny is you talk to Boast, now maybe you're not the same because you probably got your taxes in order, but when it comes to social media and things like that, like we come last. We've been very blessed that we haven't had to do a ton of marketing and advertising for ourselves. Like, it's been very organic. It has grown very well. We do a podcast. We're guests on podcasts from time to time. I mean, that's typically where our growth comes from. But you go look at our social media and it's like, I post, it's more about like community involvement than it is anything. We love giving back and being involved in the school systems and things like that. But it's we miss that mark too, and because we do the same thing, we take it for granted 100%. We started posting photos of like our video camera setups and just behind the scenes type stuff, and people were eating that up, and it's just, we see it every day. And it'd be the same for you. You look at the same computer screen or have the same conversations every single day, and people have no idea how the process works. They don't know why you do what you do and how you do what you do, how you can save people money, how you can avoid crazy problems with tax issues. Like, people want to hear that stuff. They're curious of that stuff, and you can become the king of content in that space.
Yeah. Well, very nice. Thank you. You're exactly right. Oh, so DJ Shirley, I really appreciate this. This is good. I mean, this is going to be something I think any business owner can learn from. So hopefully people are listening and really taking the heed some of the things you're talking about. I totally appreciate you being here.
Absolutely, man. I love being on it.
Once again, this is Kenner French, Vast Voice. We're telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. And hopefully, if you need anything, go to vastsolutionsgroup.com. Again, vastsolutionsgroup.com. We're here to help the entrepreneur lower taxes, help them with finance, and maybe even help them with artificial intelligence, which we've been doing for years now. Thank Thanks again. I totally appreciate it. Everyone who's here.